All right, let's get right into it. When we think about our hair thinning as we get older, we usually just think, it's fallen out. But the real story is so much cooler than that. It's actually a biological mystery, a case of a factory slowdown happening right at the cellular level.
I mean, you've probably wondered about this, right? But what if the answer isn't just about the hair that's leaving, but about the hair that's taking forever to grow back? And that is the real mystery here. It's not like the factory just shuts down one day. No, it's a delay, a lag in the whole regeneration process that just gets longer and longer as the years go by. The entire production line just gets sluggish.
And here's the first piece of hard evidence. Get this. Research shows that the resting part of the hair cycle, the part where nothing is growing, can more than double in length as we age. So just imagine your hair follicles deciding to take longer and longer vacations. That extra downtime is what we actually see as thinning.
Okay, so to solve this mystery, we have to go to the source. We're going to zoom in on the microscopic scene of the crime, the hair follicle itself. It's time to meet the key players.
So, meet our prime subjects, hair follicle stem cells, or HFSCs for short. These guys are the master builders in our hair factory. They spend their lives cycling between two states, a resting or quiescent state, and then a primed state, where they're all geared up and ready to build a new strand of hair.
But here's the thing. These master builders don't just act on their own. They take their orders from the command center, which is called the stem cell niche. And this isn't just one thing. It's a whole neighborhood of cells, chemical signals, and even physical structures around them that are constantly telling them when to work and when to rest.
Now, in a healthy, young system, this whole process is a well-oiled machine. You've got anagen, the growth phase, catagen is a quick regression phase, and then telogen is the rest phase. The problem with aging isn't that the cycle breaks, it's that the telogen phase, well, it gets stuck. It just doesn't want to end.
So, we've got our scene, our subjects, and a motive, a system that's stuck in rest mode. The investigation can really begin. What exactly is causing this factory-wide slowdown? In any good investigation, you have to ask the big question. Was it an inside job, or was it an outside force? In other words, did the workers, the stem cells, go on strike? Or did the factory management, their environment, just completely fail them?
So this really breaks it down for us. On one side, you have intrinsic factors. That's the inside job, where the stem cell's own internal programming just gets all scrambled. And on the other side, you've got extrinsic factors, the outside force, where their command center, the niche, starts sending all the wrong signals, or just physically starts to break down.
Well, after years of some serious cellular detective work, scientists have found culprits on both sides of this case. So it's time to finally look at the evidence.
Okay, first, the inside job. It turns out the stem cell's own internal communications just go completely haywire. For example, a signal that basically acts like an off switch for growth gets stuck in the on position, telling the cell to stay dormant. At the exact same time, a protein that's supposed to be the main on switch starts to disappear. It's like the factory's main power button is broken while the emergency stop button is jammed down.
And if you look at how this internal failure breaks down, it's pretty clear. A full half of the problem is just confused signaling, garbled messages inside the cell. The rest is basically a battle of the switches. The off switch gets way too powerful and the on switch gets weaker and weaker.
So yeah, it's a pretty compelling case for an inside job. But that's not the whole story. Not even close. The evidence also shows that the stem cell's entire neighborhood, their niche, is turning into a really hostile work environment.
I mean, just look at this rap sheet. The hair shaft itself starts to shrink, putting physical pressure on the stem cells. The actual scaffolding around them gets stiff and hard. The whole area gets inflamed. And even the fat tissue nearby starts sending out messages that basically say, hey, stay dormant, don't do anything.
And check this out. This quote from a key research paper really hits it home. It tells us that a physical change, just the environment getting stiffer, can literally reach in and silence the very genes the stem cell needs to turn on to start making hair. The factory floor becomes so rigid that the workers can't even get to their tools.
And this chart just paints a perfect picture of that environmental collapse. In a young niche, the go signals are loud and clear. But in an aged niche, those go signals get super quiet while the stop signals are just screaming. So the verdict is in. It's both an inside job and an outside force.
So we've found our culprits.
And that leads us to the most important question of all. Can we actually do anything about it? I mean, understanding what's broken is the first step, right? So can we fix this factory and get it back online?
And this is where the science gets really, really exciting. Researchers are developing therapies that go right after the culprits we just identified. Some drugs work like firefighters, calming down all that inflammation in the environment. Others are designed to get inside the stem cell and fix that scrambled internal signaling. There are even light-based therapies that seem to wake up both the workers and their workshop, encouraging them to start sending the right messages to each other again.
So the crucial point here is this. The cutting edge of this science isn't just about finding some brute force way to make hair grow. It's about rejuvenation. It's about fixing the conversation between the stem cell and its niche, fixing both the worker and the workshop to get the entire system back to a more youthful, functional state. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. We are just beginning to decode this incredibly complex language of signals and structures that tells our cells what to do. And as we get better at speaking that language, could we one day send the right messages to convince the hair factory to never slow down in the first place? Could we make this part of aging totally optional? It's a mystery we're getting closer and closer to solving every single day.